Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. We are here. We are live. We are ready to rock out with you today with the Word of God, so I'm glad that you came along. Got a good topic I think a lot of us can identify with today. We're in a series entitled Things That Challenge Your Faith. And we all have things in our lives that really make us maybe consider how strong is our faith. Do we really believe what we say that we believe? That's why we have these challenges, to see if we really believe what we say that we believe. And today we're going to look at an issue that probably happens more than we would like. It happens in every aspect of life. It could happen with your friends. It could happen at work. It could happen on the golf course. Could happen at home. You name it, wherever you find yourself, this issue can just pop up, and it's really going to challenge your faith. Today we're going to see that when our faith is challenged in this particular area, you know what else is being challenged? Here it comes. Your integrity. Your faith and your integrity are being challenged, at the very same time. And the question is, will we stay faithful? That's the question. Will I stay faithful during this time? And we're going to look today at the principle of compromise. Compromise. What is compromise? Compromise means to yield or to concede, to maintain a middle position. Now, there's a positive aspect to compromise. And I'm not talking about that today. Today I'm going to talk about the negative aspect of compromise that contradicts your faith. That's what we're talking about today. The aspect of compromise that makes you go against your own personal convictions. That's the negative side of compromise, okay? So I'm glad you're with us today. We are coming your way on 1590 WARV. Also at newhopecc.tv. Click Facebook. Facebook is already happening. Yes, Karen from Florida told me yesterday on a text. She said, use your tablet to get Facebook. So you know what? We just did that. Had my tablet hooked up. Of course, I can't see it. It's so far away. It's so far away. Let me see who's here. But anyway, we're here. Karen's here. Doreen's here. Aaron's here to meet you and greet you. So we're going to fine-tune this thing. We'll get it going. And if you're listening, tell us where you're listening from. And text somebody and say, hey, man, tune in New Hope Radio. Tune it in, newhopecc.tv. Click Facebook. Or if you're in the area, WARV 1590. I look better on the radio than I do on Facebook, so you might want to go to 1590 WARV. Okay? So today as we talk about the negative side of compromise, we're going to see that it means to, straddle between two opinions, serve two masters. If you ever find yourself at this crossroads, thinking, here's the crossroads. If I compromise, it might make my life easier. If I don't compromise, it's going to cost me something. So that's the challenge. We have to look at our lives and say, do I want an easier road, or am I willing to pay the price to stand on my convictions? Now, the story that I have for you today, it's a real-life story. I'm going to give you a little background, going back in the Old Testament. King Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, and the dream troubled him. Must have been another one of those late-night Shadis snacks. Now my phone's ringing. What kind of radio show is this? When my phone rings when I'm on the radio, and here it is, right in the studio. Let me cover it up. Okay, there we go. Don't people know I'm on the radio? Don't they know I'm, important over here? Anyway, this place is crazy. Okay, I told you yesterday, I don't know why people listen, but some do. So anyway, Nebuchadnezzar must have had this late night snack of Charisse. And he's got this dream, and it troubles him. So he calls for his magicians, his counselors, his seers to interpret the dream. But now there's a catch. And you know what the catch is? He's not going to tell him what the dream is. He's like, I want you guys to interpret my dream, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. And the reason he wasn't going to tell them, he didn't want them to spin some yarn and deceive him. He figured, hey, if these guys are really legit, then they should know the dream without being told. Well, the magicians and the counselors and the seers, you know what they did? They freaked out. They said, oh, king, no man can know the dream. Only the gods can see into that. But you know, the king, he was firm. He said, if you can't tell me the dream and what it means, you're all going to be executed. Man. Well, nothing was happening. The wise men were going to be executed. They couldn't figure out the dream. And King Nebuchadnezzar, watch how God works all things to his glory. King Nebuchadnezzar calls Daniel to take care of it. Now, Daniel, wait a minute. How does Daniel fit into this? Daniel had received a very high promotion in the king's court, because back in chapter 1 in the book of Daniel, he passed a nutrition test, and he was promoted to a very high office. And you know what happened right before that? Nebuchadnezzar attacked Israel, where Daniel was from, killed all the parents, robbed the temple, kidnapped the best kids, and Daniel was one of them. So here's Daniel. He's in enemy territory, but he lived his life in such a way that he was promoted to a very high office, and it goes to show you what you can do, even though you grow up without a father and mother. He grew up with no parents, and he still excelled in life. Daniel told the king if he would give him a little time, he could tell him the dream, and he could interpret it for him. And please spare the wise men. Here's another great thing about Daniel. Daniel's a foreigner. His wise men are his enemies. He said, listen, spare the wise men. I'll figure out what the dream is. So Daniel went to his friends, who also passed the nutrition test with him. Their names were Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. And they had a little prayer time. And they prayed for divine revelation from God. And you know what God did? He gave them the revelation. God gave them the dream and the interpretation, and Daniel brought it to the king. I'm like, that's the coolest thing when God answers prayer like that. Now, people who don't like you will take the good that you do and try to turn it into bad. And that's what's going to go on here. The Babylonians didn't like these Jewish boys. Remember, they were foreigners, and yet they were promoted to very high offices in the king's court. And they didn't like them, and they were jealous of them. See, when people don't like you, they come up with a plan to discredit you. Happens all the time. How many of you that are listening have ever been discredited because people just don't like you? Now, how many have ever had a bad idea? You ever have a bad idea? King Nebuchadnezzar had a doozy of a bad idea. You know, you know what he did? He decided to erect a 90-foot golden statue of himself. Now, some say, well, the statue wasn't really 90 feet because it wouldn't be able to stand at 6 feet wide, so it was probably a statue on a pillar, and the whole thing was 90 feet high. But it doesn't matter. What we know is that the top of this thing was 90 feet, whether it was on a pillar or not. And either way, you know, something's not right when you have to make a statue of yourself and it's your idea. There's just something not right there. You know, the Bible tells us in Proverbs 27, let another praise you, not your own mouth. A stranger, not your own lips. It's like when praise comes to you, it's better if it comes from someone else, not from you. So they were going to have this huge image dedicated, and they were going to have like this dedication service for the king, and here comes those jealous officials in Daniel 3:8. At that time, certain Chaldeans, they came forward and they maliciously accused the Jews. And they declared to King Nebuchadnezzar, they said, "O king, live forever. You, O king, have made a decree that every man who hears the sound of the horn, the pipe, the lyre, the trigon, the harp, the bagpipe, and every kind of music shall fall down and worship that golden image." King, you said that. Got this 90-foot tall statue of you. And when the music plays, when you strike up the band, everybody's supposed to bow down and worship the image. Man, king, that's a great idea you came up with. And then you said, whoever does not fall down and worship the image shall be cast into a burning, fiery furnace. King's like, "Yep, man, that's right. That's the law." You know what they said to the king? "Look out for those Hebrew boys. They disregard the king and his orders. They're not bowing down. They're not worshiping your image, king. You better keep your eye on them." King Nebuchadnezzar became furious, and in a rage he commanded that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be brought to his court. And they brought these men before the king. And Nebuchadnezzar said to them, "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you don't serve my gods, and you don't worship the golden image of me? Is it true?" He said, "If you do, that's great. It's okay. Everything's all right. But if you don't, it's into the fiery furnace you go. And then, who's the God who'll deliver you out of my hands?" See, in those days, these kings, they thought they were gods. And you know what they said to the king? They said, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If this be so, our God whom we serve, he's able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he'll deliver us out of your hand, O king." And then they said something phenomenal. "But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we're not going to serve your gods, and we're not going to worship the golden image, even if it looks like you, that you set up." Man, they're like, hey, God might deliver us, and maybe he won't. And you know what? Doesn't matter to us, because we're not going to compromise. We're not going to compromise what we believe, even here it comes, to save our lives. Nope. Compromise is more valuable to us, or should I say, not compromising our faith is more valuable to us than our own lives. That's what they're saying. Not compromising our faith is more valuable to us than our own lives. You know, it's great to have your mind made up before the moment needed. These guys knew way ahead of time that their faith is important. And they're not going to compromise what they believe. They're not going to compromise their convictions no matter what comes down the pike. Let me ask you, how about you? How about you when it looks like opportunities come into your life and you're challenged to compromise your convictions? Like maybe something simple like returning the wrong change. Oh, you're at the cash register and they meant to give you a 1 and they gave you a 10 and they didn't know it. And you look at it and you see it. You keep the 10? Or do you say, "Oh, you gave me a 10, it should have been a 1. Or how about when you're out on a date and you're a Christian and you have Christian virtue and Christian character? Do you compromise that for the sake of pleasure? How about accepting something stolen? You can buy a lot of stuff online these days. You wonder, where does it come from? Somebody says, "Oh, I got this beautiful watch, $15. Where'd you get it?" "You don't want to know." "I'll take it." Really? Would you compromise that for $15? Compromise your convictions? How about cheating in business? Lying in business to say, "Oh, yeah, man, we can get that done for you." And then you know that you can't in a certain amount of time. Or falling into gossip. Everybody's gossiping. They're having a great time. And you're like, "Oh, you know, See, we're always being challenged to compromise our faith. And that's why it's good to have your mind made up before the moment needed. That's how you ward off compromise. You think about situations that could happen, and you say, ooh, if this were to happen to me, I already know what I'm going to do. And I am not going to compromise, because that is a challenge to who I am. Now, Nebuchadnezzar, he got really ticked off. And he heated the furnace 7 times hotter and threw the men in. This furnace was so hot, it even burned the guys who threw in the Hebrew boys. When they got near the door to throw them in, whoosh, they were frazzled. They sizzled like steaks. And the Hebrew boys, they fell on the ground in the furnace. And the king goes around to the side, he looks in the window. And what does he see inside? He says, what? He said, did we not cast 3 men bound, all tied up, into the fire? And they said, oh yeah, king, that's true, we threw 3 in. And he answered and said, but I see 4 men walking around, and they're unbound. And they're walking around in the midst of the fire, and they're not hurt by the fire. In the appearance of the 4th, oh, he's like a son of the gods. That 4th man in the furnace, he looked different. He had this commanding authority about him. He just looked different. And then the king, he called him out. This is really something, isn't it? This is really something. See, that's why I never bring my phone in here. And today I did. And what happens? People are calling me. But I'm not going to compromise my convictions. I'm going to stay on the radio. Okay, I'm going to sit on the phone. Okay, now, the king called them out. And the satraps, and the prefects, and the governors, and the king's counselors. You know what they did? They gathered together. And that they saw that the fire didn't have any power over the bodies of those men. As a matter of fact, you know what it tells us? That even the hair of their head was not singed. You know, when hair burns, it's like, shoo. Even the hair on their head was not singed. Their cloaks were not harmed. And no smell of fire had come upon them. Now notice the effect that it had on the king. Nebuchadnezzar, when he saw this, you know what he said? This is amazing. Nebuchadnezzar now makes a turnaround. He said, oh, blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who sent his angel and delivered his servants who trusted in him and set aside the king's command. In other words, they didn't listen to my command. And they yielded up their bodies rather than serve and worship any god except their own God. Nebuchadnezzar was very impressed that these guys would not compromise their faith. And he was a pagan. And he was impressed by them. And you know what Nebuchadnezzar said? He said, therefore, I make a decree. Any people, nation, or language that speaks anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be torn limb from limb. Wow. And their houses will be laid in ruins. And then he said, and this is why. For there's no other God who is able to rescue in this way. The king had an epiphany. Because of the faithfulness of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the king's life turned around. You see how our faithfulness is so important, not just to us, to people that are watching your life. It'll either bring them to God or send them from God. And then you know what happened? The king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. They got a promotion, and they probably got a raise. See, God will honor you when you do the right thing. He'll honor you in some way. So, what can we learn from this incident? I got a few principles I want you to take home. Number one, do not compromise. Why? Because if you don't compromise, your faith will grow stronger. It will. The Jewish boys said, hey, maybe God will deliver us, maybe he won't. It doesn't matter. Our faith is what matters. We're not looking for an easy way out. See, faith doesn't look for an easy way out. Faith looks for a way to be obedient. Faith looks for a way to stand with God, to bring glory to God. That's what faith does. Number two, if you do not compromise, you'll be in good company. You know, there's a lot of good people that never compromised. And as a matter of fact, when they were in the furnace, they were in the company of Jesus himself. He met them there. The Lord met them in the furnace. Furnace was not a fun place to be, but when Jesus met them there, it changed everything. Changed everything. The Lord will meet you in your place of challenge. Think about that. You're being challenged at work. You're being challenged around your circle of friends. The Lord will meet you there. He will. Then thirdly, you will be unscathed by the world. See, sometimes people compromise because they think if they don't, they'll get hurt. But no. I think you'll get hurt if you do compromise. And you won't get hurt if you don't. Because you know what we see here? That there was no burn. The guys didn't get burned. They didn't even smell like smoke. There was nothing from the world that was upon them. Nothing at all. They came out the way they went in. Only with greater faith. And then lastly, when you don't compromise, other people are positively affected. Like Nebuchadnezzar. Could it be at that point that Nebuchadnezzar got saved? That he became a believer and now he's in heaven because of them? We know Nebuchadnezzar did some bad things before he was saved, like everybody. But at that point, you think that's where his faith really just grew? And he said, hey, wait a minute, I believe in the one true God. That's what he said. He said, oh, no, man, there's no gods that can deliver like this God. This God's real. This God's true. And maybe because of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, he's in heaven today. And how many people do you think can get to heaven because of your faithfulness? You know how many I would say? A lot. A lot. You stay faithful. Compromise, man, it's not worth it. It's not. Compromise, you get a little and it costs you a lot. That's the fruit of compromise. Don't compromise, and you know what? You'll be blessed. What happened to these guys? They were promoted. Now, they already had a high office in Babylon, and they were promoted to an even higher office. I mean, there's no telling where God will bring you. You know, don't think, I get enough joy when God can give you more joy. Oh, I've got enough peace. God will give you more peace. I've got enough of, whatever it is that you think you have that makes you content, God can always give you more. He can, and he will. Why? Because he rewards the faithful. I wonder if a lot of God's people today struggle because they compromise their faith. Oh, they go into heaven, but they compromise their faith far too often. And they make life difficult for themselves. And even people that don't know God, I'm going to tell you something. If you don't know God, you're making life difficult for yourself. You are. You're making life a lot harder than it has to be. You know why? Because you have no spiritual resources to draw on. None. All you have is a human sinful nature. And what that does, it gives you ideas, and they're usually bad ideas, and they backfire, and they don't work out. And that's why the divorce rate is at 50%. And that's why there are so many single-parent homes. And that's why kids go on drugs. And, it's just crazy. In America, it's crazy. What, 80% say they're Christian, but only probably 20% live like Christians. So the other 60%, they're making life tough for them and everybody else. And then those that are non-Christian, man, forget it. You need Christ. The hope for your life is Christ. The hope for your life is Christ. He will put your head on your shoulders straight. And you'll learn how to make proper decisions. So compromise. What good is it? No good. It might look like a quick fix. It might. But it's not. But if you stand strong and stand firm, it might look like you're losing. It looked like they were losing when they went into the furnace, but you know what? They weren't. Hey, it looked like Jesus was losing when they nailed him to the cross, but you know what? No, he was winning. And he won. Don't be afraid to look like you're losing when you stand in your faith. You know why? Because you're not. You're not losing when you stay faithful. Don't worry about how you look. Worry about the outcome. The outcome is going to be incredible. Compromise is not your friend. Faithfulness is your friend. Hey, if this meant something to you, like it and share it on Facebook. You know why? So your circle of friends can hear it. These are also placed on YouTube, and we're going to look at YouTube and see if we can do more with that as well. Thank you for coming along. Pray for the program. Support us if you can financially. Go to newhopecc.tv, and that's our website. And Sunday here at New Hope, we've got a beautiful topic, because of Christ. We're looking at some of the things we have because of Christ. And because of Christ, you know what? I can love. Find out what that's all about this Sunday right here, New Hope Christian Church. You have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.